how it do? Welcome to the podding of the cast. As always, my name is Poptart. I do the things with the people and the stuff, and today I'm going to talk about something that really sort of tickled my pickle for some weird reason, and I have no idea why. But I feel as though it's something important to talk about as we get to a point where VTuber agencies are starting to do some very interesting things regarding how they hire people, how they acquire talent, and what that could potentially mean as far as AI goes. And AI is also important for a number of other reasons, but as always, with these conversations, let's do a bit of a disclaimer. So, I always start just by setting people's expectations with these, because I feel that's the most important thing to do when we're talking about, very heavy topics. There is a lot of ground to cover with AI, and if you've been following SAG-AFTRA, you know that it is an evolving situation, and there is a lot going on in regards to not only actors and video games and in movies, but also what that means for us as content creators and how we can best protect ourselves going forward, as well as look at the situation critically for those who are, like myself, small time, who would like to go big time, and things to consider in that regard. But, like all things, I am only human. I am not perfect, and I cannot cover 100% of every single little niche thing, but I have done my best to... I've done my level best to at least try. But if there is something niche in this conversation that you want me to expand on, if there is a particular topic that you feel as though I've not covered thoroughly enough, or you would like me to expand on something or include something else into the conversation, I will take note of that and make an update on this or its own separate little video depending on the question and how it's asked. Now, before we talk about AI, I feel as though it's important to touch base on a very particular movie to give us a model, something to wrap our heads around. Now, this is probably what a scene from one of my favorite movies growing up. It's a movie from iRobot, and the conversation is very much at what point do AI step away from general lines of code to being able to be, how to phrase this in a way that makes sense. It's a conversation that centers around at what point does an AI go away from just being lines of code to achieving humanity in the same respect that we as humans have humanity. And it's also a great encapsulation of the anger, the fear around that prospect of these lines of code, these buckets of bolts. It is being able to give birth to humanity without the means of sexual reproduction. And what that means for us as humans, as people, where it makes us question our place in the world. Because he asks, can a robot write a symphony? Can he turn a canvas into a beautiful masterpiece of art? And then the question is asked, can you? But in spite of that, it's a good idea to look at this and remember that with the rise of AI, a very similar situation is happening. We're asking questions of, is it okay to have AI copy us? Is it okay to have it completely replace us? What is going to happen going forward? What protection do we have as people who create content from having our character, our voices, our image cloned and copied? And for those of us who make money, the most important question is how do we protect our finances when it is so easy to both do this while also not having any real ability to gain profit on this, on gain profit from AI making content using our image. And there was a very interesting conversation that was had between a actor and someone who uses AI to clone people's voices. I won't go into the specifics of that particular situation because it blew up and it's been dealt with, and I feel as though touching base on that situation without the consent of both parties involved is just going to agitate things. But the synopsis of that particular situation was there was a very well-known underground voice actor who worked on a project that you may have heard of. And there was a guy who is a streamer in VR chat who decided that it would be appropriate to clone his voice and then just do a whole VR skit based off of things that he made this AI clone say. But the really concerning part is he didn't have the consent of the actor to do this, and he was saying things that he probably didn't want that guy to say. And from a obviously monetary perspective, while he was making money off of it, none of it went to the actor at all. So he essentially stole his voice to make money. And we'll touch base on that later. A conversation was had, and his response was to the lines of, what I did was questionable at best, but because it's not illegal, you can go fuck yourself. I am here to make money, and that's what I'm going to do. If you don't like it, too bad. As far as I'm aware, YouTube hasn't done anything to him, and that's something that is very troubling to everyone who wants to make content of both their character, their voice, and their ability to entertain people. Now, AI in itself, it's not inherently bad. It has done a lot of really good things for us. Through means of automation, through means of predictive text, through means of just being there as tools to take care of the nuances of our life to make everything just a little bit better. It has its place, it has its purpose, it is there and it is good, and it is something to be respected for the job that it does do. But it is the conversation around content and its ability to take that away from us as people in terms of job, in terms of income, that is constantly being debated every single day of every single week over the past year, even. Now, as content creators, there are a lot of us who can actually do this on our own, but where I think we're going to see the biggest changes, or at least the biggest impact with AI, is when it comes to big name studios, or AAA groups in the VTuber community who decide that they want to start cutting costs. Because one of the biggest expenses to a production is actors, and I can think of no finer example of that than Friends. Now, those who know the story well. And while I can't go over every single detail of this particular story due to brevity, um, I'm going to go over as briefly as I can. Basically, Friends was a sitcom from the late 90s into the early 2000s. Really, really popular, really, really awesome, but the actors were not paid the same even though they were in the same show, and there was always talks about money and renegotiating. One of the biggest movements they had into the third season, which helped them out a lot, meant that everyone got paid pretty well, but it was when David Schwimmer and this actor right here got together on the show as the main couple that the two of them noticed that they were being paid a metric shit ton more than all of their other actors. So what they did is they got together and they agreed to take a pay cut, grouped everyone together and formed a mini union, went back to their producers and said, look, we want to renegotiate a contract, we want everyone to be paid the same, plus we all want residuals, and we also want to renegotiate so that we're paid more, per episode every time it's, streamed to different countries and things of that nature. So whenever you've seen a repeat of Friends, they're getting paid. Every time it's streamed or played um, in any country, every every time it's streamed in a different country, they're getting paid. And the reports I've seen of exactly how much they get paid now, every time every time an episode of Friends is played, kinda hard to say with any level of certainty exactly how much, but it is in the millions of dollars every year that these actors are getting paid. Plus, at the end, plus when it came to season 10 and season 11 of this show, they were getting paid, each individual actor, because of how they negotiated, because of how they came together, was getting paid conservatively $1 million per episode back in the early 2000s, which is equivalent to $1.4 million in today's money. Now, when it comes to AI, the ability to clone people to get rid of that cost factor is becoming more and 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 more readily available. And it's not, to my knowledge, currently practiced to do it, but the ability for agencies such as Walt Disney, such as any other company that has money to spend on actors that is looking to save money, is becoming so prolific that SAG-AFTRA is including what's called a zombie clause. So if you die, you give them consent to use a likeness of you without them having to ask your family. There's also, from what I've heard, in the last and final offer from the big studios group that is trying to renegotiate the arrangement between the studio and the actors themselves, also has a clause in there that says they can just straight up copy you using AI, and they won't pay you when they use it again. It's pretty much you'll get a one-time fee for them copying your likeness, and that's it. They can do whatever they want with it after that, and they don't have to pay you shit. They have to ask you, but they don't have to pay you. Now, that's concerning for them, but let's take a pause and think about things. To make money, and let's be real, as VTubers acting by yourselves, it is well, not just VTubers, content creators as well. To make money, it is excruciatingly difficult to do it by yourself. You're talking solo, you have to go through literal years of honing your craft, looking at contracts, looking at legal terms, dodging muted audio because you use 0.36 minutes of an audio that was copyright protected. There is a lot of navigation, a lot of background, a lot of deals that you have to do. You have to pretty much get your MBA almost, but not really, to learn how to run a business, because that's what you're doing. You are running a business as an individual, as an indie streamer. There's a lot that goes on, and in spite of all of the effort, in spite of all of that, one of the more attractive ways to make money, and you could argue the point easy, is join a VTuber agency. Now, currently, I'm not aware of any VTuber agency that deliberately clones people's likeness for the sake of creating content. As far as I'm aware, that doesn't happen, but the ability is there. I mean, and when you're looking at this, like, it boggles the mind that we're at a point where you have that sort of layout going on, where you have, and this is just from 2021, so the stats are outdated, but you can see even from them at that time, that is a shitload. That is a shitload of people who are streaming without any status, and to go from without any status to affiliate is a monster of a thing, and to go from there to partner is even a monster of a thing as well. So, with the rise of AI, is very easily going to dilute that pool and make it a shitload harder to get to a point where you can be an affiliate to start making money off of ads. And even at that point, like, you're not making a lot of money off of ads. The bulk of the money people make is on donations and subathons and things of that nature. So to have it where you can have greater control over streaming and making content would be of great interest to studios. And if you can eliminate the human factor and potentially have a channel going even 24/7, well, that's just great. That's awesome. And it's not like there aren't a lot of agencies with the position to capitalize on that if they want. This is just like a stat of from May of this year. Like the two best companies, Nichi and Hololive, are in a position to capitalize and create 24-hour AI bots that just stream, that create content based off of people who they've cloned via AI means, whether it's just their voice or their mannerisms or things of that nature. Now, currently, you might be thinking, well, hang on. We're just talking synthesizers at this point. You can't fully automate an actor, right? Well, kind of. See, I'm sure everyone knows of this streamer, but there is a streamer by the name of Vidal who created a pretty wicked AI bot that has the ability to play games, that can interact with its fans, and essentially it's, what's a good way of thinking of it? Essentially created this program called NeuroSummer, who is like ChatGPT on steroids. NeuroSummer has the ability to interact with the fans, to respond based on the context of what its fans are saying, can play games, and has the ability to sing as well. So currently, based on my understanding of how Vidal's programming it, it is still in its infancy, but it is rapidly being developed to a point where I wouldn't be at all surprised that this technology is picked up by either Ninja or Hololive, who is routinely hammering their talent to produce content that people enjoy so that they can capitalize on their percentage hold of people watching their content. And what I'm surprised about at the moment is I'm surprised that there's an agency like VShojo already doing this. Like, if you don't know VShojo, especially when COVID first hit, showed that it is possible to be an agency that breaks the mold while also producing content that people enjoy. Um, like, take a look at this roster, and I want you to tell me that it is possible to be diverse while also being part of a greater collective of talent. And then I want you to look at Zentreo, and I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time you actually heard her speak? In fact, has anyone actually heard her speak? It's interesting, isn't it? So, if you don't even have to synthesize their voice, and all you have to do is make a program like what Vidal is working on, is there a need to have this lineup at all? And if VShojo one day turned around and said, no, we're going to make a new clause that says you have to consent to us cloning your voice, what does that mean for them as people? Do they go from having this immense following and making money to making no money because they want to, because VShojo turned around and said, no, we don't want to pay you anymore, we just want to write a line of code to do your job, and you can feck off? Given the rise of AI technology, what protection do not VShojo have, what protection do people in agencies have against this from happening? In fact, what protection do any of us have against AI just taking our jobs? Well, it's time to pause and think and look into the void. No. Well, there are a couple of things. First, read your contracts. A lot of times now with new contracts, especially in the entertainment industry, are including clauses relating to AI or third-party technologies that allow us to clone your likeness. If that's not something you agree to, don't sign it. Believe me, money as an actor, from what I've been told and what I've researched, is concerningly hard to make when you're just starting out. So if you see these sorts of things, do not sign it. Don't do that shit. Having your likeness cloned while you're struggling to make money is not a cash money move. If someone cloned your voice, like in the example I said before, reach out to them and make a statement saying, this is not me who said that thing, and if that's something you're concerned about, let your concerns be known. Now, will this stop people? No. But it is one of the only things you can do to just pull the handbrake on that situation before we have greater laws protecting our likeness from people who would like to steal that for their own gain. And lastly, just be the best you that you can be. Like I said, AI, as it stands, can do a lot of things. It can clone our voice, it can do part of our job as gamers. But one thing it can't copy, hopefully not yet, is our humanity. So we can just capitalize on being the best us that we can be. We have a fighting chance. Well, content creators have a fighting chance at not being completely replaced just yet. And in any case, I just want to thank everyone, and I mean everyone, for joining in. While I may not be the most entertaining person in the world, I do appreciate you at least trying to watch my content. As always, I am Poptart. I play the video games from time to time, and although I'm semi-retired, I am going to be coming back during Christmas break for a very special Baldur's Gate 3 stream. And I will see you then. Bye for now.